Congratulations. Whoa, we have covered a ton of information, and hopefully you've got a lot of insights. Hopefully you've shared it with us and with your fellow students, and you've probably got some really good stories based on a number of these topics. But Martin, what I wanted to do now was just kind of tie it all together, and maybe we might do a word association. If there's something we want to just sort of say to tie it all in, and everything else is fine, but I'll give each point, and then I'll say the word, and then you say the first word that comes to mind, and then we'll either talk about it a little bit more, or we'll move on to the next one. How's that?
So you get the easy bit.
I get the easy bit. Well, I'll also tell you what my word is too. I'm sure something will pop up. Okay, so number one, drum roll, please. Culture.
Different strokes for different folks.
Oh, good one. Good one. Open-mindedness is what comes to mind. And there is probably a reason that is no longer valid or necessary that something was done a certain way. And that doesn't invalidate the reason that it was done. But sometimes I think we look at the behaviors of people and we think, that guy's, we're very judgmental, maybe I'll put it that way. Whereas it's like, well, maybe there was a really good reason and we just don't know what it is. And so give them the benefit of the doubt. Next one, arrogance.
Okay, question yourself, don't question others.
Good one. Arrogance. That's like, be humble. It's like, it's really easy to be arrogant, and like
it is, yes.
All cultures, right? Because like Canada's big on hockey, so of course my hockey team, even though it's the second worst in the league this year, is still the best hockey team, and everybody feels that way. And of course we need to understand that that's the way everybody feels. So let's accept everybody's position as valid for them and move on.
Yep.
Number 3 was accents.
Oh, accents. Problematic, I would say.
Enjoyable. I love listening to the different accents that people have. And of course, I may not if I don't understand what they're saying, but oftentimes I'm listening to people with a South Asian accent or a Chinese accent or a South African accent or an English accent, Texan accent. I'm going, oh, that is so cool.
Yeah, no, I agree with you in that sense. It's very interesting, but I'm thinking from a teacher's standpoint, it is a very difficult thing to work on, both in terms of native speakers improving and foreigners learning to speak and to understand different accents.
Yeah. And I think a key to it, that you alluded to, was speaking slower and clearer. And that's one thing that when I think of some of the accents in England, like I can't understand a word, like it's one big long word almost. Or a lot of people from that I know in Bombay or New Delhi, they just talk so fast with the accent. Now I can't separate the words. I can't figure out what they're talking about.
Yes, because sometimes you can't actually differentiate. Is it the accent that's a problem or the speed? So that, again, is something we will talk about later.
Yeah. Linguistic.
Very big area.
Linguini is what comes to mind. Dinner time. Generational.
Yep. I think... it's very hard to say about that. I would again say different strokes for different folks because everybody has different expectations, different histories, and people live through different times.
I was thinking of growth.
Growth. Okay.
Yeah, like because Grandpa spoke a certain way, Dad spoke a certain way, I spoke a certain way, my son speaks a certain way, and it's this kind of this flow and ebb of and butchering of language and putting it back together, really. Okay, our next... Pardon me?
Development,
yes, and growth. Expectations.
I think that is about being open to experience.
Yeah, I had a friend talk about expectations versus expectancy. And the way he said it was, I'll go to a restaurant with the expectation, like McDonald's, get a Big Mac, it's going to be a certain way. And I go to a restaurant that I've never been to before and I have this expectancy, this excitement, this looking forward to whatever's going to come because it's unknown and I don't know. So there's sort of the two sides of it, I think. And our next one is perceptions.
Perceptions, I think, again, that is about, let's say, being curious about why people don't understand you or why people do things differently.
Yeah, so for me, it would be self-awareness. Like, first of all, am I communicating what I want to say? Like, a friend of mine has an old saying is, you may think you understand what I said, but what you don't realize is what I said was not what I meant. So, the perception of, the self-awareness of like, did I actually say what I meant? And then to be aware of what's going around you is like, did those people actually look like they understand me, right? Because as a boss, when I was a boss, it was very easy to bang, 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 bang off my orders. And there was very little checking to make sure anyone understood what it was I actually wanted them to do.
Yep.
All right. Number 8 was English taught in foreign school systems.
I think, again, that's about awareness, not self-awareness, but awareness of what your employees or your colleagues have been through, which brought them to the point they are at now.
And English taught in foreign school systems will be different than English taught in England or America.
Generally speaking, yes.
Yeah, so that's the other, that's the other thing that just occurred to me as we were talking about that. Those you may be, everybody in Winnipeg when I was in grade 1 spoke English or French, and so everybody was correcting everybody because, well, my mommy says you say it like this, so okay, or my dad says you spell it like that. Whereas when you're in Thailand in an English school, everybody's speaking Thai, and so you're not getting that correction and that depth of knowledge. Cool. Number 9 was different conventions and concepts.
Yes, I think a lot of these, we talked about awareness, and I think really this is about awareness and openness, because there are so many things that are different and that you will come across that are different. So if you're not aware of these differences and if you're not open to these differences, I think that you will not really be able to be very effective in your job or in your new life in a different country.
Excellent. Well said. I like that. We'll jump now to number 10, which was borrowed words and different pronunciation rules.
Okay, so again, it's about trying to understand what they're trying to say to you, because probably it's something that they think you understand and they get frustrated. So it is very common to see foreigners get very frustrated with native speakers because they think they're saying something in the native speaker's own language, and the native speaker is just looking at them like they're crazy, and this person's getting more and more frustrated. So it's like, please, try to understand what they're trying to say, or even help them a little to try and get out what it is that they're trying to convey to you.
Wonderful. Number 11 was expats gone native.
Go native, but not too much.
I think there's this balance, right, between, you're somewhere, hopefully because you want to be there, and you want to be there because you want to experience a different culture or that culture. And if it's the other, if it's the other way and you're in your native culture and these people are coming to you and their English may be good, maybe poor, who knows, you show a lot of interest. I think it's really important that we're showing interest in the culture of the people around us.
Yes.
We want to know why they think, how they think, what's going on, what their background is, what the history is, what's important to them. Not as a manipulative sort of thing, but as a way of connecting, because that's one of the reasons people travel, so they can experience other cultures and they can understand, how the art and the music and all these cool things. So,
but not everybody, because you do get a lot of expats in a bubble. They live in an expat ghetto, and their lifestyle is worlds away from the local community. So there are not always expats who want to actually get very involved in the local culture, but in terms of thinking about how you can improve your relationships with your staff and your colleagues, it's very important.
Yeah. And our last one was the English expert.
Usually the son or daughter or nephew or niece of the company owner. And I would say the best thing to do is just work around them and never lock horns with them.
Yeah, I would agree. I was trying to think of the word for it. It could be a compromise, or it's what challenges your ability to relate positively with other people, right? And I guess part of it too would be along the lines of what's important. Like when I was raising my children, it was, one of the things I tried to teach them was, you can have a battle every minute of every day, or you can pick your battles. Is it really, really important that you, that you do this or that you do that? And if it is, that's when you stand your ground. But most of the time, it's not. And I have to jump in with one of my favorite stories of I have two sons, and they were about 8 and 5. And we were walking through a park, and there were swings, there were all these stuff, like just a typical park, right? And trees and everything else. And I'm walking, my oldest son is walking beside me. We're having a nice father-son chat, and my youngest son, who has been all over the park, like we're walking down this path, and he's 10 feet over there, 20 feet over on this side, and he comes running over and he says, Dad, can I do whatever it was? No. Off he goes. And my older son stops and he looks at me and says, Dad, I know for a fact that you don't really care or mind if Jason does that. So why did you say no? And I said, well, look at him. And Jason's climbing up a tree, and he's looking at a frog, and he's over here and he's over there, right? Like, is he upset? No. So, John, what do you think would have happened if Jason really, really wanted to do that? Oh, he'd be bugging you, Dad, and he'd be going up and down. He wouldn't let you alone. So, how badly did he really want to do this? John looks at Jason, looks at me, and he says, do you do that to me too? But I think sometimes we just get into our ego or something. We just say, oh, and it's not important. Like, is it really important that we do this or we do that? And sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, softly, and pick your battles.
That's
definitely.
Right. Cool. All right, so we've come to the end of section 2 in this course. We're really excited that you've come this far with us. We're really proud of what you've been able to accomplish and hopefully what you've learned. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please put them in the Q&A. They ask for reviews. Hopefully you've given us a review and you can edit it at any time. And in our next section, we're going to get into an exciting part, which is, okay, we've sort of outlined some of the traps to be aware of, but what can you actually do about it? What actions can you take? What solutions are there? And we're going to be dealing with those in the next section.
Okay, see you then.